Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we are really digging into some fascinating research, years of it actually, distilling it down to a pretty powerful insight about what drives success.
Hmm.
We're focusing on the working grit, the power of passion and perseverance by Angela Duckworth.
Yeah, and our goal here really is to unpack this whole idea, to get past the myth that some people are just, born geniuses.
Right.
We want to look at the evidence that suggests sustained effort, that grind, is often way more important than just raw talent, and crucially, how you might actually cultivate this grit quality yourself.
What's striking right off the bat is how counterintuitive some of this is. We look at high achievers, maybe cadets at West Point, kids winning spelling bees, top CEOs, and we tend to think, oh, they're just smarter or maybe luckier. But this research, looking across all these different groups, military academies, Ivy League students, teachers in really tough schools, it points somewhere else.
It really does. Grit keeps popping up as this key factor for success, even when you account for things like IQ or, just being generally conscientious.
Okay, so define grit simply for us. What are we actually talking about?
At its core, it's about two things: perseverance, sticking with it, and having this enduring passion, but aimed at a single, really long-term goal.
That direction piece feels important.
Right.
Like when Duckworth looked at people like Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan or Coach P. Carroll,
Yeah.
the common thread wasn't some innate gift. It was this incredibly focused determination pointed in one direction
Yeah.
for a long, long time.
Precisely. And that brings us right into this fundamental issue we need to tackle: our cultural obsession with talent.
Okay, so part one, the big misconception. Why are we so hooked on the idea of the natural? Why do we kind of prefer thinking achievement as some kind of magic trick instead of just, well, the result of years of really hard, sometimes boring work?
Well, the book calls this a naturalness bias. It's this sort of hidden prejudice we have. We tend to favor people we think are naturally gifted over those we see obviously working their tails off.
Huh. Like a prodigy musician versus someone who clearly practiced scales for 20 years?
Exactly. Think about it. The prodigy seems almost magical, right? We call them a genius, the person who toiled away for decades. We admire them, sure, but we might just call them a hard worker. It feels different.
That bias, even if it's subtle, could be really damaging, couldn't it? If we put all the focus on talent, it kind of implies effort doesn't matter as much.
It's worse than just implying it. According to Duckworth's framework, it's fundamentally wrong because effort actually counts twice in the achievement equation. This is like the key formula to grasp.
Okay, effort counts twice. Let's unpack that because that sounds really significant.
Right. So the first part is talent times effort equals skill. Your talent here is basically just how quickly you improve at something when you put in the effort.
Okay, so talent affects the rate of skill improvement.
Exactly. Then the second part is skill times effort equals achievement. So first, effort builds your skill level.
Got it.
And then you need effort again to actually take that skill you've built and use it effectively to make something happen in the real world.
So effort builds the skill and effort makes the skill productive. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean then that someone with maybe less natural talent, but who puts in massive, consistent effort, could actually outperform a lazy genius over the long haul?
The research suggests unequivocally yes, provided that effort is sustained. If the person with high talent stops putting in the effort, their skill development stalls, right? And their actual achievement level can drop off. Talent is potential. It's not the finished product.
That reminds me of the Will Smith quote the book mentions about the treadmill, something like, "I will not be outworked. You're getting off first or I'm going to die trying." That's intense.
It is a powerful image, that sheer refusal to quit. But, the author also points out that maybe the real grit isn't just staying on the treadmill that one time. It's getting back on it the next day and the day after, especially after you've failed or fallen off.
Ah, because motivation can spike. Right.
Right.
But sticking with it day after day, especially when it's hard, that's different.
That's the perseverance piece. Failure is inevitable. You hit plateaus, things go wrong, the goal feels miles away. Quitting seems like the logical, maybe even self-protective thing to do in that moment.
But if you quit permanently, your effort drops to zero. Mathematically, like you said.
Instantly. Zero effort equals zero progress towards that goal. And that's why grit isn't just hard work. It's hard work plus that passion, that unwavering commitment to the same long-term goal. You're not flitting around, you're pointed, steady, for years.
Okay, so if grit isn't something you're just born with, if it's not fixed, then we can actually cultivate it. Which brings us to part two. How do we grow grit from the inside out? The book talks about 4 key psychological assets.
Right. Interest, practice, purpose, and hope. And these aren't things you either have or don't. They develop over time, often kind of sequentially, building on each other. They're what keep you going when things get tough.
Let's start with the first one, interest.
Okay, so passion, the fuel for grit, has to start with actually enjoying the thing you're doing, at least somewhat, for its own sake. It has to be intrinsically motivating.
But it's not usually like a lightning strike, is it? Love at first sight?
Rarely. The book describes it more like a little bit of discovery, followed by a lot of development, and then a lifetime of deepening. You explore, you find something that clicks a bit, then you work hard to develop it, and that work deepens your connection to it over time.
And there's a warning in there, isn't there? Especially for parents or mentors about pushing too hard too early.
Oh, absolutely. Early interests are incredibly fragile. If you come down too hard on a beginner, criticize too much, demand really rigorous, deliberate practice before they're ready, you can just crush that initial spark. It needs patient encouragement.
Okay, so cultivate interest patiently.
Hmm.
Then comes pillar 2, practice.
Right. And this is the daily grind, basically, trying to get better today than you were yesterday, but, and this is critical, it's not just mindless repetition.
This is where deliberate practice comes in. That sounds important to nail down. What's the real difference?
Huge difference. Just doing the same thing over and over, like jogging the same route at the same pace every day, only gets you so far. Your improvement plateaus pretty quickly. Deliberate practice is different. It means you specifically identify a weakness, something you're not good at yet. You set a specific goal just beyond your current ability. You focus intensely on that, and you actively seek out feedback to see if you're improving.
So it's targeted. It's pushing yourself right at the edge of your comfort zone.
Exactly. The book calls it challenge exceeding skill practice. The gritty person isn't content with just doing okay. They're constantly thinking, how can I improve this specific thing? It's demanding. It takes real concentration.
Whatever it takes, I want to improve. That's the internal mantra.
Pretty much. And yeah, it's mentally taxing, often not fun in the moment, but essential for building real mastery.
Okay, so intense practice needs fuel too. It leads to pillar 3, purpose. The idea that your work matters beyond just yourself.
Yes. Sustaining passion, especially through the hard parts of practice, often requires this deeper conviction that what you're doing contributes to something larger. The well-being of others, maybe?
So most really gritty people eventually link their goals to something altruistic. They see it as more than just a job, maybe a calling.
That's what the research finds, yeah. It gives the struggle meaning. When you're exhausted or frustrated, knowing your work impacts others can be a powerful motivator to keep going.
How does that sense of purpose usually develop?
It seems to often involve two things. First, seeing someone else, a role model who lives a purposeful life through similar work. And second, having this kind of personal realization, like an aha moment, that, hey, I can actually make a difference here too. It shifts from being just my interest to my contribution.
Okay, interest, practice, purpose. And finally, pillar 4. Hope. This isn't just wishful thinking, right?
Not at all. It's a very specific kind of hope. Gritty hope is the belief, the expectation, really, that your own efforts can improve your future. It's got nothing to do with luck or circumstances being easy.
It's about agency, believing you can make things better through your actions.
Exactly. And it's deeply tied to how you explain setbacks to yourself, your explanatory style.
Like optimistic versus pessimistic thinking.
Precisely. When something goes wrong, you fail a test, lose a big project, get rejected, the person with a more pessimistic style tends to think, I failed because I'm just not smart enough, or I'll never be good at this. They see the failure as permanent and pervasive, a reflection of their fixed inadequacy.
Whereas the gritty person.
The gritty person, fueled by the specific kind of hope, tends to see the setback as temporary and specific. Okay, that strategy didn't work, or I need to prepare differently next time. They see it as something to learn from, not as proof that they lack the fundamental right stuff.
That sounds almost identical to Carol Dweck's work on growth mindset versus fixed mindset.
They're totally intertwined.
Yeah.
You basically need a growth mindset, the belief that you can improve with effort and learning to sustain grit. If you have a fixed mindset, believing your abilities are carved in stone, then failure is devastating. It feels like proof you should just stop trying. Why bother putting in effort if you think you can't actually get better?
Right. Effort seems pointless if ability is fixed. Okay, so we've covered the internal components, interest, practice, purpose, hope. But people don't develop grit in a bubble, do they? What about the environment? Mentors, culture, that's part 3, growing grit from the outside in.
Yeah, absolutely crucial. The focus shifts here to how supportive challenge from the outside world helps cultivate grit, starting with parenting and mentorship.
What does wise parenting look like in this context?
It's this fascinating balance. The research suggests the most effective parents and mentors are both very demanding and very supportive at the same time. It's not an either. They hold high standards, expect effort and resilience, but they also provide tons of warmth, respect, and emotional security. It's like saying, I have high expectations for you because I know you can meet them, and I'm here to support you along the way.
And modeling grit yourself seems key too, right? As a parent or leader.
Oh, huge. Kids absorb how you approach your own challenges and goals. If you demonstrate passion and perseverance, they're far more likely to develop it themselves.
What about mentors outside the family?
Incredibly important. The book notes that basically every single high-grit individual studied could point to at least one non-parent mentor, a teacher, a coach, maybe a boss who believed in them, often before they fully believed in themselves, and provided that crucial support and guidance at just the right moment.
That makes sense. Then there are things like extracurricular activities. Why are they highlighted as such good training grounds for grit?
Because they naturally offer that perfect blend. Usually you choose the activity based on interest, so there's intrinsic motivation.
Right.
But they also inevitably involve challenge, practice, and dealing with setbacks. You have to learn new skills, perform under pressure, work with the team, maybe lose sometimes.
But there was a specific finding about commitment duration, wasn't there?
Yes. This is really interesting. The activities seem to build grit most effectively when kids stick with them for more than 1 year.
More than a year. Why that specific time frame?
Well, the thinking is that the first year often covers the novelty phase, the initial excitement. Sticking with it beyond a year forces you to push through the inevitable dip, the point where it gets hard, maybe boring, and requires real discipline to keep practicing and showing up.
So it forces you past the initial fun stage into the perseverance stage.
Exactly. That's where the resilience muscle gets built, when you keep going even when the immediate payoff isn't there.
And this idea extends to workplaces too. The culture.
Definitely. There's this concept of a social multiplier effect. When you're in a culture where excellence, effort, and resilience are the norm, it rubs off on you. One person's grit can inspire others, which in turn reinforces everyone's commitment.
So a gritty culture provides both that deep support and that relentless challenge to keep improving.
That seems to be the sweet spot. It helps everyone understand that setbacks are normal, part of the process, and that the real rewards of grit often take years, not weeks, to materialize.
This has been incredibly insightful. Let's try to pull it all together. Grit isn't some fixed trait you're born with.
Right?
It grows from the inside out through developing genuine interest, engaging in deliberate practice, finding a sense of purpose, and maintaining resilient hope.
And it's nurtured from the outside in through relationships and environments that offer both strong support and high expectations, that supportive challenge.
It's really about making the most of whatever talent you start with through focused, sustained, directed effort over the long haul.
It demands resilience, absolutely, but also that clarity about what you truly want and why it matters. One important point the author makes, though, is that grit isn't everything. Morality, character beyond just achievement, that still comes first. But for achieving difficult long-term goals, grit is essential.
So if we redefine genius not as effortless brilliance, but as this relentless, focused pursuit of excellence, using everything you've got, then maybe that path is open to anyone willing to commit to it.
That's the empowering message, I think. Okay, so to wrap up our deep dive today, let's leave you with something really concrete from the book. It's a prioritization exercise, maybe a bit brutal.
Okay, alrighty.
First, take some time and list, say, 25 career goals you have, things you want to achieve.
25, okay.
Now, review that list and circle just the top 5, the absolute most important ones for you, the ones that really represent that ultimate long-term direction we talked about.
Top 5 circled. Got it.
Now, look very hard at the 20 goals you didn't circle. Here's the provocative thought to take away. To what extent are you willing to actively avoid those 20 things, almost at all costs?
Avoid them. But there's still goals I listed.
Exactly. The challenge is to recognize that those 20 things, while maybe appealing or interesting, are actually the primary distractions pulling your time, energy, and focus away from the 5 goals that truly matter most. True grit requires not just pursuing the important things, but actively saying no to the tempting but ultimately secondary pursuits. How ruthlessly can you protect your focus on those top 5?